This July will mark the release of the one and only Marvel Cinematic Universe film of 2024, the third entry in the Fox Deadpool series, Deadpool and Wolverine. The film will follow Ryan Reynolds' titular merc-with-a-mouth Deadpool as he utilizes his fourth wall-breaking abilities to bring a definitive conclusion to the Fox series of Marvel films, merging their more successful aspects into Disney's blockbuster mega franchise. Disney's first hard R multiversal adventure will not only feature Ryan Reynolds' fan-favorite mutant, will also see the return of the arguably even more popular X-Man, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, amongst several potential cameos, including rumored appearances from Jennifer Garner's Elektra, the ill-fated love interest of Ben Affleck's Daredevil from the 2003 film, Halle Berry's Storm, where she'll hopefully redeem herself after that questionable line of dialogue from the original X-Men movie.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
Good one. To Wesley Snipes' Blade, from the franchise that went down in flames after the third film thanks to its star's penchant for strangling director David Goyer and his willful inability to pay taxes. While watching the trailer for the film, in between shots of what appears to be Giant Man's hollowed-out corpse, Aaron Stanford's mutant villain Pyro, and Emma Corrin's new-coming villain Cassandra Nova Xavier, it'd be easy to miss the fact that one semi-notable Deadpool alum appears to be absent from the proceedings: Deadpool's occasionally loyal sidekick, T.J. Miller's Weasel. Miller portrayed Weasel in the first two entries in the series. Though mainly a supporting character, he took part in some of the best moments from both films, creatively insulting his disfigured best friend.
You look like an avocado. Had sex with an older, more disgusting avocado.
Before bestowing him his iconic moniker in the original movie.
What? I put all my money on you and now I just realized I'm never gonna win the
Deadpool.
And hoping to form the short-lived, literally, X-Force crew in the second.
No superpowers at all.
I have both type 1 and 2 diabetes.
Ow! Oh,
That's all the diabetes.
right? Yeah, you got them all.
It would stand to reason that Weasel doesn't appear in the new film because it simply has too much on its plate, resurrecting the iconic Wolverine, a character who already received a more than adequate send-off in James Mangold's excellent Oscar-nominated comic book film Logan, folding an entire rival studio's patchwork of IP into the extended universe of another's, and seemingly jamming in heaping helpings of fan service. But the reality of the situation is far more disappointing. In the interim between Deadpool 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine, T.J. Miller has done a couple of interviews addressing his lack of participation in the upcoming film. Appearing on both The Adam Carolla Show and more recently Help with Natalie Cuomo, Miller made various claims as to the reasons for his departure, suggesting that the process of working in mainstream films was becoming tiresome.
And that's an example of something that was so fun for so long, and then it suddenly got not fun.
Stating in no uncertain terms that franchise filmmaking was a soulless process.
But really, the real reason is the same reason I left Silicon Valley, which is I don't really think you should do something for more than 5 years.
But primarily blaming a contentious relationship with the film's star, Ryan Reynolds, for his decision to not return for the film. In the interviews, Miller claims Reynolds changed as a person due to the massive success of the franchise, claiming the actor wasn't a household name prior to the success of the first film.
Everybody knew who he was, but he had never had, he'd had a lot of movies that were failures or just didn't do that well.
Stating that he believes Reynolds hates him.
Kate thinks Kate thinks he's super frenemy with me, or even just that he hates me. I could see him hating me.
Saying that the A-lister went so far as to request an additional take of his scene for the express purpose of insulting him in character.
Do you know he hates
We
you?
had a really weird moment on Deadpool where he said, let's do one more take. And everyone was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then as the character, he was like horrifically mean to me.
And insinuating that the animosity was caused by Reynolds' jealousy of his superior comedic chops.
Sure. Yeah, that's exactly why he said that.
How much riffing?
Because I'm not funnier than he is at all. Right? And I haven't been in more movies than him. Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
agitate the...
Essentially painting a picture of the well-regarded, charismatic movie star as a petty tyrant who used his position of power for the sole purpose of picking on the comic relief. Unfortunately for TJ, to anyone with even half of a brain paying a little bit of attention, it's clear that all of his claims are most likely bullshit. To understand why those claims are bullshit, we first need a little context. While T.J. Miller may be known to hardcore television and film fans, he's a far cry from a household name, though at one point in time he seemed destined to be. He began his mainstream entertainment career as a respected stand-up comic, eventually being named one of Variety's Comics to Watch back in 2008, following a particularly memorable appearance on G4's Attack of the Show where he f***ed a Christmas tree on live television.
I always knew that when I met you, I said, well, one day I'll be degraded on G4 to the point of having to have sexual intercourse with the secular concept of Christmas. Ladies and gentlemen.
Miller leveraged his comedic success into several supporting and starring roles in films and television throughout the late 2000s and into the 2010s, breaking out as HUD in visionary director Matt Reeves' successful feature debut Cloverfield, establishing a relationship with Mike Judge in his criminally underseen spiritual sequel to Office Space, Extract, which features a ridiculously underrated comedic turn from Ben Affleck as stoner bartender Dean.
Oh man, it's not your fault. I told you, my man Brad just crushes ass, dude.
And even starring in Apatow-adjacent big-screen comedies like the disappointing She's Out of My League and his would-be star-making turn in the awful Office Christmas Party. After several false starts, Miller would begin to break through thanks to parts in several high-profile projects, securing the aforementioned role of Weasel in the Deadpool movies, nabbing a lucrative deal voicing Tough Nut Thorsten in DreamWorks' blockbuster animated film series How to Train Your Dragon, and eventually breaking out by rekindling his relationship with Mike Judge for his hit cult comedy HBO series Silicon Valley. Running between 2014 and 2019, Silicon Valley followed the exploits of Thomas Middleditch's hapless loser genius Richard Hendricks as his underdog tech startup Pied Piper attempted to survive its rivalry with Apple-esque megacorporation Hulu. Miller was a standout on the series as Erlich Bachman, the obnoxious yet hilarious founder of Richard's tech incubator who wasn't afraid to slap a child if they had it coming.
Which one was it? It was church candy, wasn't it? You just brought piss to a fight, you little...
Miller would receive positive notices throughout his 4-season run on the show, even winning a Best Supporting Actor award at the Critics' Choice Television Awards in 2015. But despite this success, and much like Deadpool, Miller would remain conspicuously absent from the show's final 2 seasons. To explain his departure, the show introduced a ridiculous, yet still pretty funny subplot that saw Erlich abscond to Tibet before falsely being pronounced dead by the opportunistic vulture Jin Yang. But the actor's absence was actually due to Miller's erratic and toxic behavior on set. Though the team behind the series remained tight-lipped for the most part, the truth eventually came out in a Hollywood Reporter cover story from 2018, where it was revealed that Miller was fired from the series by creators Mike Judge and Alec Berg, both for showing up to work while under the influence of drugs and alcohol, and for not showing up to work at all. Not only was Miller drunk and/or high when he did show up, but he would allegedly often show up without having read scripts and would frequently fall asleep during table reads. Behavior Judge characterized with a telling quote from the article.
"There's a lot of different ways you can find out somebody doesn't want to do the show anymore, and it's not fun to work with someone who doesn't want to be there, especially when they're one of the main people and you've got however many crew members and extras and people who are not paid as well and they're showing up before 7 a.m. and they're just like, oh, okay, we're not shooting today."
For his part, Miller denies the allegations, stating in an article from Vulture, "In real life, I'm not always high like Erlich is, and this will blow your readers' minds, but I'm not high when I work because it gets in the way of the comedy. I also am not a guy who's blackout drunk, bumping into things on set. What was occurring was I was out doing stand-up all the time, even if it meant I only got 3 hours of sleep. So the thing I have a problem with, it's pushing myself to do too much." Once again, unfortunately for Miller, it's easy to deny allegations that occur behind the scenes. It's much more difficult, however, to explain away criminal acts that are a matter of public record. Even before his breakout turns on Silicon Valley and Deadpool, Miller would rack up several criminal charges that would make his fellow Miller Ezra blush. From The Pedestrian, a 2016 arrest for assault against an Uber driver over a political disagreement. I would go into more detail on that one, but politics and YouTube are an awful mix. To Bizarre, an April 2019 arrest for calling in a fake bomb threat on an Amtrak train. According to witnesses, Miller was heavily intoxicated and called in the bomb threat to get back at another woman in first class who he got in a disagreement with. To the outright repugnant. In 2017, allegations from Miller's time in college resurfaced during the Me Too movement. A former sexual partner and classmate claims Miller choked and punched her during intercourse without her consent, amongst other more graphic allegations I won't get into here, both because I don't want to get demonetized and because they're sick. It was these sexual assault allegations that led to Miller's firing from his role in the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. As of this writing, and according to IMDb, which is never wrong, Miller hasn't worked in any mainstream projects since his role as Randy in Bill Burr's Netflix animated series F is for Family, a role that ended in 2021. We could take the actor at his word and imagine that he hasn't worked since then by choice, but it's far more likely Miller isn't working because no one wants to work with him. In many ways, Miller is a sort of precursor to Jonathan Majors, an undeniable talent who overestimated the level of bullshit the industry would tolerate in regards to said talent, and like Majors, shot himself in the foot just as his career was beginning to really take off. In regards to his comments concerning Reynolds, I think it's safe to completely disregard them. While I obviously don't personally know the man and remain dubious of every successful person's career, you don't get to the top without being some sort of monster, by all accounts, Reynolds seems to be a swell guy, a serviceable comedic actor and entrepreneur who engages in several philanthropic endeavors and who's forged a career that was worthy of being honored with an American Cinematheque Award a mere 2 years ago. Despite Miller's claims, I doubt Reynolds holds any ill will toward the actor at all. In fact, I'd characterize their relationship as being close to that of John Hamm's Don Draper and Ben Feldman's Michael Ginsberg in Mad Men.
I feel bad for you.
I don't think about you at all.
But if Reynolds does indeed hate Miller, and did request an improv take for the sole purpose of insulting him, one can only surmise it's because Miller deserved it. Let me know what you think about Deadpool and Wolverine's TJ Miller trouble down in the comments section below. Also, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to help support the channel. I'd like to say thanks in advance, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.